Hello everybody, welcome into Talladega Superspeedway. We got some money racing on tap for you tonight here in the FEG-PC Money Racing Series. Gonna be a good one, and on that note, how about we jump right down and get started with your race info. Getting the sponsorship titles out of the way, it's gonna be the Talladega 45 tonight here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Breaking it down for you, 45 laps here in the truck, 65% fuel, a little bit of an odd number. We'll see how that pans out for a lot of these guys. Gonna be unlimited tires. And one fast pair is always, of course, fixed setups. No worries there. And then we are indeed going to have unlimited green, white checkers if we were to need them. Hoping we don't need too many of them. Looking more at the weather outside, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, 55% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and winds at 2 miles an hour. Track length 2.65 miles, and track temp a little warm here today. Going to be starting at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. We'll see if that cools down here as the race progresses. But we get a look at your starting grid. Had a race just before this, kind of a warm-up race for these guys over at D3, so a lot of them are amped up and ready to go. And on that note, how about it? McCall Motorsports' Ken McCall Jr. is going to take the pole in the 03 truck. Jeremy Paris is going to be starting to his outside in second. Danny Elsterman making his return tonight, starts third. Josh Bonwell in fourth. Mark Vondell fifth. Ron Morris Jr. rounds out row 3 to the outside of his teammate. Jason Maines in seventh. How about Dustin Carruthers in eighth? He's been close to winning a couple times. We'll see if tonight can maybe be the night. Devin Ray at ninth, Chris Blanchard rounding out your top 10. Donald Ray and Bobby Forbes making up row 6. Art Greco 13th. Michael Daves starting in 14th. Mitchell Daves 15th. Brian Kaiser. Daniel Eberhardt, the man who just hosted the last race, the man who got a win last night in the PGR Intimidator Superspeedway Series, he starts 16th. Dylan Jones is going to be starting 17th with John Ward rounding out row 9. Chad Ross, Christopher McCall making up row 8. And as we bring this back, let me go ahead and bring this back for everybody there. I do apologize. We were just talking about Chad Ross, Christopher McCall, sorry, rounding out row 10. Joey Allen 21st, Alejandro Montes Diaca sitting in 22nd position. William H. Scott 23rd, and Joshua McCall 24th. Before we get started, quick warning to anybody out there watching, I'm not really feeling too good tonight. Didn't feel too good about 2 hours ago, so I do apologize if I don't seem quite as amped up as usual, but we're going to try to give you the best we've still got here, as we do appreciate you spending your Friday night over here at Ghost Racing Network. A little bit of a rough race last night in the PGR Series, so we're looking forward to some good action here tonight over at FEG. And Ken McCall Jr., one of the veterans, no surprise to see him up front, and he is surrounded by quite a few teammates right now. Josh Bonwell kind of has an alliance so far here tonight with the McCall Motorsports Group, so we'll see him work with them. Ron Morris Jr., he's running a different paint scheme, looks good, got the new RMR logo on it, and then Mark Vondell just below them. So McCall Motorsports switching up the strategy just a little bit here. We'll see how it plays out. Referencing that we can no longer play music here, of course, as with the new YPP program. Seems like YouTube is maybe cracking down. I did use NCS for a long time for the pre-race music. Never had any issues, not even copyright warnings. And all of a sudden now we're getting them, so going to have to back it down on that. Heath Job had asked, even if you have a subscription to a music service, yes, so certain subscriptions, there's different things you can get, audio license, etc., etc. It's kind of complicated when you break it down, but fortunately, nothing we can do about it right now. So, on that note, here we go. Looking down at trackside, Ken McCall Jr., Jeremy Paris. Green flag is out. We are racing 45 laps. Here we go at Talladega. Ken McCall Jr. with a pretty good start. Notice a couple of bluegrass, little windshield visors on top of these trucks. Most of those guys are teammates as well. As they rocket down into turn 1 for the first time, they're going to hang dead even for now. We'll see how quick these guys decide to get racy, of course. There is rules with 3 wide over here at well, not really so much. I guess it depends on the field size, but at FEG Money Racing Series, there is a 3 wide rule a lot of time. And for a big field like tonight, it probably is going to apply. And in that rule, the first 2 laps, these guys cannot go 3 wide. And it gives everybody a good chance to kind of feel each other out, get used to it before we start getting crazy. And Jeremy Paris wasted no time, got himself from the outside lane right down to the inside lane. And although he doesn't really have any teammates up here, getting on that inside line, you kind of force the hand of the driver behind you, but he almost gets turned. Now he darts back up and back up into Dustin Carruthers. This is going to collect a few. The 9. Big hit for the 9, I believe. That might have been the 24. He's in it as well. Of course, we just noted that. The 12. Man, big wreck here early. That looked like a mistake from the 24 after he had a heck of a save, but you just can't come back up like that. Man, oh man. Rough start here for these guys. Let's take a look at what happens here. This starts all the way back at a turn 4. First lap chaos. And this just looked like a little bit of an offset push. We have been seeing this the last couple nights. That was Chris Blanchard in the 9, but See if we get a better angle of this here. It's been really odd looking. Watch Ken McCall Jr. here. So he's already a little offset at this point. Good here, but you see that 24 is just sliding up, getting slightly more offset. And when they come off the corner here, Ken McCall Jr. turn it down just ever so slightly. Nothing egregious here. But as he gets to try to line back up, he's just a very, very minor swipe there for the 24. And right here, he saves it, does a good job. And then when he comes back up here, just isn't quite able to keep it out of the 03 of Ken McCall Jr. They get hooked together, and then that sends the 24 up into Ron Morse Jr. Dustin Carruthers with nowhere to go. 12 is going to come flying in as Chris Blanchard goes up the track, T-bones the wall. Big hit, almost up into the catch fence. Everybody else is going to sneak through to make it a 3-truck wreck. Chris Blanchard for sure getting the worst of it. Looks like Bobby Forbes was that 12 truck involved in this incident as well. And let's take another look here. A couple different views, if you will. First, let's start with Chris Blanchard here. Watch this hit from the 9 truck. Just gets turned. Boom. Destroys the front, and that is certainly going to cause quite a bit of damage. That's going to be a fast repair for him for sure early on here. Not something he probably wanted to have to use at this point. And let's go back and take a look from the chopper view with the incident involving Jeremy Parrish on the start and see if we can't get a little bit of a better insight, if you will, I guess. And watch. He did a good job saving it initially. It was hard to tell if on the overcorrection that was kind of what sent him back up, or if he just kind of tried to force his way back up. And, you know, more or less just looks like he was trying to kind of hang on to it there and couldn't quite do it. You saw the truck was still wobbling right there. Just slight contact. Didn't take much just to save it. Just a little bit of a wiggle after he kind of gets it straightened out up into Kevin McCall Jr. and wrecks on from there. Let's take one more ride here. Stick around on board. Right on board, in fact, with Chris Blanchard. Talking about that wild ride he experienced. Here we go. A little more contact there with the 24 of Jeremy Parrish as well, just for good measure. So going back live, only 3 laps in. This is going to change some things up a little bit. Josh Bonwell is going to take over the lead. Devin Rea, second. Would be sweet if he could get a victory here tonight, up 7 spots already from where he started. Jason Maines third, Dustin Carruthers fourth. And how about Art Greco? Haven't seen him around in a little while, making a return tonight in the 88 truck. He is currently up 8 positions from where he started. Brian Kaiser, he's got one teammate in the field tonight. That's Chad Ross, but right now he is sitting higher in 6th. Mark Vondell 7th, Joey Allen 8th, Joshua McCall in 9th. And how about William H. Scott currently rounding out your top 10? So this early caution, you know, and that was one of those cautions that it wasn't really anybody actually doing anything too aggressive, as it was just a racing incident. I mean, at the end of the day, we looked at the replay. That's about the only thing I can really pin it on there. Nothing Ken McCall Jr. was really doing wrong. In fact, he was trying to help the 24 Jeremy Parrish. Jeremy Parrish trying to hold on to it. Unfortunately, just kind of ran a little bit out of racetrack to do so. But when we go back green, assuming we're going to get the one to go signal this time, there's still a green flag pit stop, at least one scheduled here. Normally, these guys can make it 32 laps on fuel at the longest. And we say more like 30 to play it safe, assuming you're kind of in that pack, getting a little bit of draft, saving that fuel. And with 30, if these guys are only going to have 65% of that tonight, you figure 50 would, of course, be 15. So we'll see what happens. But I think that's going to probably... We're going to have at least one more stop. My question is still that borderline, are we going to have 2? I think these guys maybe getting somewhere around 18 laps. I think there's still a chance that we maybe see 2 pit stops here. It's going to be hard to say. We'll have to see what happens, but either way, I don't think these guys are ready to settle down and get ready for pit stops just yet. We have a lot of guys that like to get racy sitting at the front, and a lot of the big hitters that are looking to go to the front, they're going to be starting in the back here. A lot of them sitting on pit road, taking a little extra fuel, topping off. That could be a sign of maybe that these guys are going to go on fuel. Chris Blanchard, he had to tow it. That's the reason he has not been able to use that fast pair just yet. Looking at the chat, it looks like something. I'll tell you what, Heath Joe, $5 donation in Super Chat, says, you're a valued member of the iRacing community. Keep it up, Austin. Major props from 760 Graphics. Thank you so much, Heath. Well, that certainly could help me feel a little bit better tonight using the new Super Chat that we got through the YPP program the other day. You can now make donations through stickers, chats, tips, whatever you want to call it. If you like the job we're doing up here, we certainly appreciate it. Heath Joe, thank you so much again for the $5 donation. That means a ton. Had a great night last night with it. Had a blast. Had 40 plus viewers Good to see some of you guys back out here tonight. Of course, we did see Heath in the race last night. Had some ups and downs. But what he did have was the best looking truck in the field. Of course, 760 graphics. Go check him out on Discord. Makes quite a few Ghost Racing Network inspired paint schemes. Maybe not inspired as so much putting the sticker on at least one part of it. And we certainly appreciate the sponsorship shout-outs. All right, so 4:45 laps in. The pace car is going to take the hard left turn. We're getting ready to go back green. Fun fact, originally expected this race to be 35 laps tonight. I guess it got changed a little bit more last minute. Either way, we've now narrowed it down to what is going to be 40 laps to go. 41 laps to go, rather, when we go green this time. Josh Bonwell, he has not raced in a little while, but he certainly looks pretty comfortable back out in front as the green flag waves. Jason Mates pushing on his back bumper the outside line. The 85 of Devin Rea. He's got to try to find some people to work with here tonight. Art Greco might be a good pusher in that 88, but man, that outside line really did not get a good restart at all. And smart move there by Devin Rea to jump in line. Unfortunately, it's going to leave Art Greco out to fall to the back. He's going to wait for some help from Joey Allen. But up front, they get single filed out pretty quick this time as Josh Bonwell leading the inside. He's getting a bit of a push this time. I thought Jason Maines would jump right to the top, but I think Jason feels pretty comfy down here, and these guys are going to try to tick off some green flag laps before we really get back racy and get a little bit more on the crazy side, if you will. A little bit of a separation here. The second pack, and in fact, a lot of these guys are all trying to get that momentum back going, try to get these trucks closed up and back together. And you saw Daniel Eberhardt and Danny Escherman trying to make it work. Further back, Ron Morris Jr., looks like Chad Ross, Ken McCall Jr., these guys all sitting back here. Not sure Ron Morris Jr. whether or not he had to use his fast repair, but we still got guys looking to march to the front, trying to get the outside line going. Joey Allen, one of the drivers that doesn't have any teammates, so he is always available and willing to try to push another driver to the front, make some friends for himself. And that's what he's trying to do right now as he jumps to the outside here. The 18 of William H. Scott is not going to try any move or block. Brian Kaiser, he's looking to maybe get up there. They're going to need 3 trucks to really make any progress happen. We know that, and we've seen that before. And even though they're tandem up, they just can't really make much happen. Watch for that 25, though, of Alejandro. He might think about jumping up if he gets clear. Joshua McCall thought maybe he would think about a move, but he does have his teammate Mark Vondell. He might be waiting to see what Mark wants to do here. So your top 3, they're not teammates of each other. Just after that, Josh Bonwell has a couple of the Alliance members from McCall Motorsports rounding out your top 5. But that second line, they're still holding even. I'm really shocked nobody has went out to help him just yet. And just as I say that, William H. Scott, he's going to take the bite, and he is going to jump right up to that second lane. 3 trucks now. We'll see how long it takes before they can get some momentum going, get all the way back to the front. You got to remember, too, each row of trucks that they pass on the outside, the more enticing it's going to be for people to jump up top, as we see 2 of the McCall Motorsports teammates to do so. Joshua McCall is going to wait for Mark Vondell to hop up, and he's going to give him a little push down the backstretch. That's going to send Joey Allen to the back of the single file line here, double file line rather, excuse me. He tucks in just in front of Brian Kaiser, who has a teammate in Chad Ross. Unfortunately, Chad Ross may be playing a little conservative right now, so they're not able to work together and make much progress to the front. Now, Daniel Eberhardt, he also seems to kind of be on this conservative strategy right now, so you certainly kind of expect it to be a good one. The 90s truck currently sits a little bit further back than maybe he'd like to be this early, back in 15th position, but he is up a spot from where he started. He's got Dustin Carruthers and Dylan Jones racing to his outside, just ahead of them. Donald Ray and Bobby Forbes remain side by side. And looking at your track map, it's not a big gap, but they're starting to slowly get a little bit separated from each other. You got to be really careful doing that. You could lose the draft, and that's a perfect view of it. Watch the gaps. If you get over a second and a half from that truck in front of you, that draft is going to be all but gone at that point, and it could be really hard to catch up. And in fact, we see at least one truck now that has fallen far enough back to the point of where they are not staying with the draft, and that's Jeremy Paris. Chris Blanchard has found his way back onto the track. The bad news for him is he is kind of banking on a caution right now. He finds himself 1 lap down. The good news is he is the only truck lap down as it stands. And if we could get a lucky dog, he could very well find himself back in this. We just saw a little damage. I was trying to figure out who that was. But he had some pretty decent damage. Doesn't look like it's going to be any of these trucks running up in the lead pack, at least from what we can see. And just like that, Mark Vondell, you know, had extremely good finishes. Got a side pot win the other night, a couple nights before that. Second place finish. He's figuring it out, and when you get on hot streaks, sometimes it is hard to cool down. Mark Vondell leading that outside line. He wants more. And he's just hanging side by side with the Alliance team member of Josh Bonwell tonight. Falls back a little bit here, but a lot of strength so far from the 59 as he holds that steady wheel. And Joshua McCall, props for sticking with his teammate here. He's going to make sure he can do all he can. Again, no scheduled stage breaks. No special payouts for leading a certain amount of laps. Oh man, that was really close. Jason Maines trying to keep Josh Barnwell out in front. Almost washed him up the track just a little bit too high. 56 is able to fishtail back down to the bottom line. 10 of 45 laps completed so far here tonight. Wreck on lap 1 to get things started, but since then we've been clean and green. And while they stay side by side up front, you can see how people are a lot less eager to take it 3 wide, especially from what we saw last night in the PGR series. And you know, I like this strategy. I think this is, and when I say strategy, maybe I should say this approach, because it really does kind of feel like an approach from all drivers in the sense of, you know, if you have that itch to race, you can go up there, you can take it 3 wide, and sure, you can find your way to the front, but at the end of the day, if you're going for the money, we still have at least 1, if potentially not 2 scheduled pit stops. So instead of focusing on racing, this is the time to focus on finding your teammates, getting with them, working up that pit strategy and the plan of how to execute it. And then once it's time for the pit stops, of course, you're going to have to go down there and make it happen. Now, we're probably going to expect pit stops, if I had to guess, maybe somewhere in the low to mid 20s. So I'd say anywhere between lap 20 to 25 would be where we'd see that first pit stop, depending on how short or how long these guys want to run the window. But right now, they're just sticking side by side, and another good indication of it's going to be if you see the whole field start to try to find spots and little gaps to jump in on the bottom line. But McCall Motorsports, we know they like to go together. The Maines boys, they got a couple teammates. We'll see if they try to go together here as well tonight. But what about the stragglers, the guys that don't have teams, or the guys that maybe are only working with one other guy? We know that you got to go in with at least 2 other trucks if you want to maintain some speed. So I very well look to see pit stops be a little bit of a trouble point for a couple of these guys tonight. If there's any mistakes, we could see a couple of nights come to an end early. Christopher McCall working on catching back up to the back bumper of Daniel Eberhard. He's pretty close. They're going to be just fine here. They were stacking back a little bit, but did not take them long to catch up at all. The driver out of Savannah, Georgia, looking to find some of his teammates, but he's got one right behind him, and Danny Eshelman. Chad Ross for Team 3 sitting 3rd in this pack. There's Ken McCall Jr., and he's got his teammate as well, Ron Morse Jr. So this second pack is a lot of McCall Motorsports drivers, and a couple of them were the ones in that first wreck. So I think this is just kind of a play of caution here, and I think that is another solid strategy. A little bit of 3 wide up front as they were trying to work their way around a couple lappers. Looks like Jeremy Paris is going to indeed lose a lap as he tucks back in line. And next up in line is going to be 9 of Chris Blanchard. This is going to put him 2 laps down, not what he wanted to see. Both of those guys are going to catch onto the back of the strap and be able to hang with it. But if you're Chris Blanchard, you need a caution soon. And on the other hand, if you're Jeremy Paris, you just need a caution at some point before this race is over at this point. But another thing is lap trucks is this early on in a race, especially if you're in Jeremy Paris's shoes, only 1 lap down. Even if it throws your strategy off, just make sure you pit with the leader so that you can stay with them. Stay only 1 lap down, and right now, of course, you know that you're not fighting anybody for lucky dog. But you got to avoid the wreck, and sometimes to do that, you got to stay in the back, and that's where trouble can occur. Almost 1/3 of the way through here, the 45 laps tonight. Got another race tomorrow night for the FEG Money Racing Series. We'll talk more about that as this race goes on. Pit stops are still going to be the first question here of the night. Again, expecting them somewhere between lap 20 and 25. So right now, the whole field just kind of staying double file. Let's take a ride on board and kind of compare the difference between leading here at Talladega and the feeling of maybe running second or fourth here at Talladega. 3rd or 4th, rather, excuse me. Here we go. Start with the cockpit onboard view here of Josh Bonwell. And watch how pretty of a wheel he's going to hold here through the corner. You see he's got those left side tires right down on the yellow lines. And in fact, we'll pull up the dashboard to show you that as he holds that smooth line, he's doing well over 185 miles an hour down the straightaways, 180 in the corners. A little bumpy in the travel there, but he keeps it together nicely. Now getting into the corner here is where you really, of course, well, you're obviously going to get the biggest advantage being out in front, because if we go back here to Jason Maines, he sits behind Bonwell now. He's not really pushing too hard right now. You'll see him close this gap up on the straightaway, but in general, when your job is to be that lead pusher, especially late in these races, sometimes it gets really, really difficult to see. As you saw, Jason Maines had to bump the throttle there. And getting in the turn, that is when sometimes we see guys slam the apron and wash up the track. Devin Rea running pretty close as well. He knows how important it is to keep those 3 trucks tight together to still run some speed. And it sounds like some of these guys are certainly saving a little bit of fuel. Here's Joshua McCall on the outside line. His job is not only to, of course, hold that pretty wheel, but he's got to hold that pretty wheel nice and tight down to the bottom line. You kind of get the side draft off each quarter panel of each truck that you get up to. Get the side draft through the corner and get the run down the straightaway. They're making it work without any issue right now. Going back a little bit further in the pack, Dustin Carruthers sitting a bit further in this pack. And that second pack is kind of latched on, but they really kind of string out here for probably about a sixth of the track or so. Chris Blanchard, the last truck in line. Not sure if he's got damage that's potentially affecting him and holding him back here. Still no 3 wide action. Nobody really making a move just yet. Again, everybody content to be where they run. And this is just kind of that mid-race battle, the battle of who can keep well, I guess maybe you could say it as who can get the most laps led or who wants to lead the most laps. Right now, though, the winner of that is going to be Josh Bonwell. He has been up here flying since the drop of the green on that second restart of the race. Jason Maines, he has been nice and comfortable pushing the 56. Feels like he's holding a pretty enough wheel for him to stick behind. 17 of 45 laps completed. And if you're towards the back right now, you're probably just sitting around saving more fuel than these guys. And that's kind of a strategy play that can sometimes, depending on how things work out, allow you to flip the strategy. I'm not sure if that's what we're expecting tonight or not. We'll have to find out, but keep an eye on guys such as Daniel Eberhardt. We know he likes to do things kind of similar to that. And just as I was talking about 3 wide, looks like we're going to have a couple guys trying to make it 3 wide here. Mark Mondell and William H. Scott, they couldn't quite make it happen, so they're going to tuck back in line as the 10 gets down to the apron. Dustin Carruthers, still no pit stops yet. Again, not expecting him until probably another handful of laps or so. And if you hear me going a little silent again, I apologize for that too. As we talked about not feeling great tonight. Keep yawning here. I am a sleepy person here tonight, but once these guys really get to it, the racing so far has been really good. It's been clean. The only incident we had, of course, involving the 24 Jeremy Paris and Ken McCall Jr. That was kind of a little bit of a freak accident in the sense of a racing deal. Nobody doing anything wrong, just a little bit of a bad bump and a near save that didn't quite make it stick all the way. But now these guys are starting to fishtail around a little bit. That makes you nervous as there was some contact right there between Art Greco and I believe on the inside that was going to be the 25 of Alejandro Montes de Oca. Man, that was really close. Art Greco and the 12 of Bobby Forbes, they're both lined up on the top line behind Joshua McCall. They're going to try to get him some momentum down the straightaway here. Working their way into the travel here. A lot of side drafting going on. Maybe a little too early for it, but Joshua McCall's making it work. You see he dips down low in the travel, but this time he's dipping down low to find him a spot in line. And now you're starting to see that outside line dwindle down more and more. Devin Rea was one of the trucks that chose to drop down basically on the drop of the green before we could even finish a lap. And because of that, he's found himself in third, sitting behind Jason Maines and Josh Bonwell in pretty good position for when we set up for our pit stop here. We always seem to see split strategy, though, on these pit stops. Some guys like to go in early, and then there's always the group that just stays out until the end. And it seems like every time we see that group that stays out never is able to run lap times even close. And I just continue to always wonder why they try that strategy. So we'll see what we see tonight with it. I always thought if you see especially one of the big teams come down the pits, you got to be expecting to come down the pits yourself or with your team in the next lap or two, because you just lose too much time here at Talladega if 3 or 4 trucks get locked up and they're really moving. But something that's a little different is with this draft package versus the old one. We know with the old one, you could get 3 trucks together, 3 good trucks, and if they all knew what they were doing, they could push and actually outrun packs of the size that we're seeing right now up front. Not anymore. These trucks, the more trucks you have in a pack, the faster they want to go, the more they like it, and you can push a lot harder. So I think we're going to see the pit stops being groups of pretty big. McCall Motorsports might be the only group that kind of branches off by themselves, and I think Daniel Eberhardt, Josh Bonwell are going to follow them here. Now, Daniel Eberhardt, I don't believe is an official teammate of McCall Motorsports, but he's been working with them, and it's been working out pretty well. Josh Bonwell, he figures he might as well give it a try here tonight. Working out well for him so far as he finds himself leading the way in the 56 truck. Joey Allen's going to fall to back the outside line. Art Greco with the lead. Bobby Forbes in second on the outside. The 7 truck hanging around too. How about Mitchell Daves? I believe it might be Davies. I apologize if it is. I think it's Davis. It might be Davis. Either way, he's been having a heck of a night so far. Don't believe he has any teammates, but you see him drafting up top with Jeremy Paris And Jeremy Paris certainly wouldn't mind getting his lap back the hard way. I think that's what he's kind of trying right now, but not working out too well. And it's just such a hard thing to do because one mistake, and if you get a 0x, you don't get the lucky dog anyway, even if you missed a wreck. Up top, though, the 7. We just talked about it, Mitchell. He is trying to get back to the front, and that is really disorganized the middle lane as it's only going to be Art Greco with Bobby Forbes. You can see just how quick they're falling around. Some contact there. The 88 got up into the 7. They almost both went into the outside wall. Good heads up driving by Mitchell. He is going to hang on to it, but he's going to lose a position as the 12 of Bobby Forbes is going to go ahead and go by as well. The 24, Jeremy Paris, maybe realized that mistake that Art Greco made. He was trying to help the 7 out just a little bit there, and I think he does so as the 7's going to jump right back in line. Oh, big hit for the 12. This is going to bring the caution back out. We got one wrecking here in the back. No caution yet. We stay green. Maybe not. Still green. Oh, my goodness. We got a slow truck with heavy damage up top, but sure enough, it's not going to draw the caution. That was Bobby Forbes in the 12 with a big, big impact. And this thing doesn't look like it's driving too well. He's going to have to get that fixed for sure. And it doesn't even sound like it's running. Oh, man, this is a really, really rough break. And now the yellow flag is out. But from this view, it sounds like he's just coasting. And if he's coasting, he's not going to be able to make it back to the pits. He's just trying to get as far as he can so the tow time isn't too long. But with 24 laps to go, we see what has only been our second caution of the night. Again, really good little stint there of racing that we saw from these guys. So let's go back and take a look at exactly what brought out the caution here. Well, of course, we know what brought out the caution. It was the 12 going head on into the outside wall. But I guess you know what I meant in the sense of more or less the question of what goes wrong here. Let's back this up. Go to the TV follow cam. Jeremy Paris and him were kind of working together. Seemed like they're making it work just a little bit, but see Jeremy Paris. Ooh. Paris gets low, gets back high, and just kind of left. I guess you would say right rear hooks him. That's a tough break for the 12 because, you know, I know Jeremy Paris, again, no ill intention here, just trying his best to make himself some traction back up and, of course, trying to push the 12 in the process. But giving him a bad push really creates a tough break for the 12, who now might find himself multiple laps down or repairing damage. He's got to be thinking to himself, really? He wasn't even on the lead lap, but here you go. And, yeah, 24, I think he was trying to tuck back in line, but just hooks him and takes a pretty big shot into the outside wall right there, and that's where he's going to get all this damage. A couple more trucks involved as well. Ooh, looks like the 5 truck. Didn't notice that off first glance. That's Donald Ray. Took a pretty good shot in the front end. You got to assume that's going to be potentially a fast repair for him as well. Let's take a couple more angles here. Back this up. I wanted to see from the TV follow, and then I wanted to see from the onboard here of Bobby Forbes. Actually, from the gearbox, rather. So here we go. They split. They go 3 wide here, and at this point, both of these guys could have tucked to the inside, but they're going to try to keep making it work. And as we kept saying, it just doesn't work this time. Bobby Forbes with that big hit to the outside wall. Watch this. So second caution of the night falls with 23 laps to go. Might have been 24, actually. Jason Maines going to win the race out of pit road. He is going to be your current leader. Joshua McCall, who's up 22 from where he started, sits second. Got Alejandro Montes de Oca in third, up 19 from where he started. Devin Rea fourth, and Art Greco currently rounding out your top 5. Now doing a little looking, a little searching here through the field and the Discord, and see if we got anybody here that maybe we can drag up to the booth. Looks like it's a little bit more active tonight than what we're used to seeing. How about, see if we get running near the front. We see if we can get a quick word here from Joey Allen. Hey Joey, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy? Hey Joey, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy? And he might very well be busy here tonight, so we're not going to be able to get an interview from the 23 truck. However, on the opposite side of that, we've seen a guy that's come close to victory a couple times here in the FEG Money Racing Series, and that's Dustin Carruthers. Let's see if we can get a quick word from him. Hey Dustin, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, what's going on, Austin?
And try one more time there. You sound a little fuzzy. Dustin, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, there we go. Well, hey, man, we were just talking about the fact that you've been close here a couple times over in the FEG Money Racing Series. Do you think tonight's the night?
I'm hoping it is.
Well, we know these races can get really crazy towards the end now. I don't think you really have any teammates necessarily out here tonight unless, of course, you're maybe working with Team 3, but teammates are not 22 laps to go at this point. What's the strategy? Do you go to the front or do you maybe sit in the back and wait for the big one?
I think I'm going to try to head towards the front.
All right, well, thanks for giving us a quick word, and truck's looking good, and we'll see if we're talking to you later in Victory Lane.
10-4, thank you, Austin.
That's Dustin Carruthers, keeping it short and sweet. Sounds like he has been here, done that before, so we will see if that ends up being the case. And actually, the way pit stop's going to cycle out, and ooh, I know what happens here. We had a lot of guys that decided to go down probably and top off, and that's a smart decision because initially I thought that we were going to be eliminating green flag stops, but it's going to probably be pretty close at this point. We'll have to see. It's going to be really, really borderline on if these guys can make it here or not. Now, looking at the events that we have planned here next, tomorrow night, Ghost Racing Network, we're going to head over to FEG-PC Money Racing again. It's going to be for a little bit of a cheaper entry fee, but still big payouts, $500 worth. Talladega for 40 laps tomorrow night. Green flag at 10:35, same as tonight. Make sure you don't miss out. Of course, you can get yourself involved in it. Check out the the FEG Discord. Man, I am struggling out here tonight. Apologize again, but the FEG Discord, of course, we do have linked in the description for you along with the Ghost Racing Network Discord. Might as well check both of them out if you're already there. So we're going to be going back green this time. Again, still borderline on if we're going to see that green flag stop or not. And if we do, you really got to ask yourself here, what strategy do you play with it? The pit window is going to open very shortly if it's not already. So do these guys decide to go in as soon as that window opens, or do you maybe try to wait until the later part of that pit window? I know there's always so many different strategies. It's going to get interesting. It's going to get exciting as the pace car pulls off. We're going to take a quick look. So I do apologize. Get that down. And as they get ready to go back green, we're going to try to take a look at what the calculation would be for assumed fuel mileage here. Green flag is back in the air, showing that these guys can go 19.5-ish, give or take a couple laps. So yeah, sure enough, it would be really, really close on fuel. And if these guys can make it, they're certainly going to have to save some, and they're going to have every last drop in that tank full. That's why we saw so many guys top off. Now the front four, well, what was the front four? Jason Maines has already found his way back into it. Those were some of the guys that didn't pit. They're going to try to work a little strategy here, and we'll see how well the strategy works out, but not going to be too surprised at all if we see most of these trucks just getting a long single file line, and we're going to see the games really begin in terms of who can save the most fuel and how can they find a way to save it. But we do have a couple trucks here still jumping out, looking to make up some track position. The 85 of Devin Rea, he's going to try to make him go for it. Joey Allen's got some help from John Ward. Josh Bonwell's going to jump to the top. And there's Danny Eshelman and Christopher McCall rounding out the trucks lined up on the outside line. A couple of them are going to drop low. Chris drops behind his teammate, Ken McCall Jr. So you got about 5 trucks working the outside. So what I guess I figured they would too. It looks like they're going to go ahead and not. They're going to change it up on me here. Chad Ross in the 38. He has been sitting towards the back all night. I still think he is just waiting to make his move, but he's going to have to make it sooner or later here. So pit window should be open, I would say, anytime this lap on for guarantee. And if guys who didn't pit on that last stop and top off, of course, are going to have to pit one more time. But if you topped off, man, it is going to be really, really close, and you just got to save as much fuel. But everybody looks pretty comfortable right now. I am not seeing guys saving too much fuel. Devin Rea, impressive run. He has found himself all the way back to the front. Going to be looking for the lead on the outside with help from Joey Allen. And no surprise that Josh Bonwell, who has led the most laps here tonight, finds his way back to the lead on the bottom. 19 laps to go. How about a little crank it up segment here from Talladega before things get too crazy? Here we go. And that's going to do it for tonight's segment of Crank It Up. I hope everybody did enjoy. Devin Rea found his way to the bottom, and two of the McCall Motorsports teammates have found their way to the front. Christopher McCall and Ken McCall Jr. clear by a couple truck lengths. We'll see if they decide to take it, but for now they're going to stay high. And again, doesn't look like these guys are saving as much fuel as I thought, so they might have been a little bit closer than what we calculated. Or maybe they saved a little bit more than what we thought they've been able to save, at least up to this point. But either way, the racing up front is starting to pick up just a little bit. Now, we don't see any 3 wide yet. Everybody still seems to be getting a feel for each other. But once we hit probably, maybe even sooner than this, but definitely no later than 5 laps to go, whether you're good on fuel or not, I think we're going to start seeing some guys contemplating and then, of course, taking it 3 wide. 4 wide's always up on the table as well, but before we can do that, we got to get to 3 wide. Alejandro, broken heart emoji. Alejandro, what happened? We saw you out here tonight having a pretty good run, and he is currently sitting off track. So is Bobby Forbes. Chris Blanchard, the last truck on track, and yeah, the 23 is being scored out of the race. Alejandro Matos Diaca. Man, not sure what happened. That's a tough break. Wait to see the bad luck. Alejandro, ooh, the 10 of Tustin Carruthers and the 5 of Don Ray. They're doing a little bit here, and they almost had some contact there, but they're going to be able to keep it together. 15 laps to go here at Talladega. Looking like we might have saw a little bit more through wide there, but nobody's going to help Donald Ray out this time. And he is just going to continue to fall further and further to back until somebody shows him a little bit of help. 5 trucks finally going to duck back in line. Now 3 wide again. Mark Vondell, we'll see if his teammate decides to hop up. Jason Mays trying to get one out for him, and he's going all the way to the back. So this is a little bit, I would almost say, uncharacteristic of what we're used to seeing, in the sense of normally the guy who goes 3 wide, the guy who does the most help. Not tonight. A lot of these guys keep hanging each other out. Ken McCall Jr., Christopher McCall, though, have pretty good control. We'll see if they decide to split up. That one can go right block. Jason Angel, one of them sticks in the middle to lead there. And Christopher McCall, he's not going to take any time. We'll see what Ken McCall Jr. decides to do here off of turn 2. As John Mullihan lets us know you still have Crank It Up. Barely hear you. Thank you, John. And hey, how about it? We got someone in the chat that's actually letting us know when we do something wrong. It seems like a lot of times, usually it's I go muted and nobody lets me know, and I just sit there talking, well, to nobody, a room full of ghosts, I guess, until I can figure it out. But thank you, John Mullihan, and apologies for that. Troy Elliott says, great job announcing the PGR Marathon last night. Boy, you are not kidding on that one. It felt about like running a marathon. But nonetheless, it was a ton of fun. Jacob Emery, can't thank him enough for joining me in the booth for it. Had a blast, and again, probably the best engagement, viewer interaction, and audience that we have ever had, at least in my time here at Ghost Racing Network. So that was a blast for me up in the booth. Made what could have been a better race, all that it could have been up in the booth. Can't thank you all enough. So the 3 wide action is underway. Fuel must not be a concern. It is either we're going to go the rest of the way or we have another stop. But I'm thinking we're going to go the rest of the way with these guys are racing. Dylan Jones has found his way to lead. He is up 16 from where he started. We call him Mr. Where Did You Come From? Looks like the audio is still registering a little bit loud here. Not sure why, but we're going to turn it down a little bit more. There we go. Taking a look on the gyro cam here for Dylan Jones. He works his way off of turn 4. Let's take a look at the speeds again. 187. Now that's about 3 miles up from earlier, and it's pretty cut and dry why that is, because these guys went from earlier, maybe a little bump drafting, a little arrow pushing. They are full on shoving at this point. A couple more trucks trying to make their way back up here, breaking into the top 15 and then the top 10, so they can have a shot at some money. Daniel Eberhardt, you see him on the bottom behind the 7 truck. Where can he go? Josh Barnwell up top. He's got a little momentum, but he's going to need either a truck to jump out in front of him or the 3 trucks behind him to really start getting to pushing. 12 laps to go here at Talladega. Ken McCall Jr., a little bit of surprising but very veteran-like move there by hopping in front of Jason Mates. And if Jason takes it 3 wide here, he could put himself in trouble, because Christopher McCall, we know he's going to stick with Ken McCall Jr. now. Chad Ross, a little bit of a wild card. Not sure which guy he would choose to go with, but that 3rd lane, the caboose, Mark Vondell, he is trying everything in his power to push Josh Barnwell and Art Greco to the front. But just as I was about to say, they need some help. Daniel Eberhardt and John Ward jump to the top, got a wreck out back. 24, Jeremy Paris, caution is out. Caution is out. And it looks like Jeremy Paris has got some pretty good damage here yet again. This is going to shake some things up. Well, now it's definitely not a question about fuel. Everybody is going to be good to go. Now, what would be a question, though, is how many and who are we going to see pit here? But before we get to that, let's break down what we have here. Jeremy Paris Still not on the lead lap, I don't believe, at least not at this time. Actually, he was. Yeah, sure enough, he was. I think he gets the lucky dog. And does he just kind of drift up, or does the 5 drift down? Hard to tell from that view, but it looks like once him and Donald Ray get together, they get hooked together too much, and the 24 gets turned right into that outside wall in an awkward area on the tribal. Caution does fly in the air. Let's take a look from the chopper view on this one, see if that maybe gives us some more insight on who came up and who went down. Watch the red truck. Last truck in the middle of that bright red 24 machine. Watch, see if he comes up or if Donald Ray comes down here. Maybe a little bit of both, but it looks like Jeremy Paris maybe coming down a little bit more. And then the 5, of course, of Donald Ray coming up. Let's take one more look at that. Actually, I reversed that. I meant to say Donald Ray looks like coming down more than the 24 coming up the track of Jeremy Paris. Yep, sure enough, the 5 just kind of drifts down. Now, of course, 24 was drifting up a little bit, but it certainly wasn't anything blatant, obvious, or egregious. So take it up as another racing incident, and in my book, that is not a caution that I can get upset about. 10 laps to go right now, but it's probably going to be somewhere around 7 or so once we get this thing back green. Per the usual rule, if we can make it to the white flag, we will make this thing official. But 7 laps with a bunch of guys that are hungry for some money, knowing that we are good to go on fuel the rest of the way, there's a good chance that maybe we don't finish this thing completely under green. Let's go back here and take a look and talk real quick about some of these payouts that we're expecting here tonight. We're not sure, in fact, I don't think we quite got... Actually, it looks like it was based off of 35 drivers. Not too bad, 24, so payouts still going to be pretty good. Initially, they were going to be 300, 300, 130, and 130. Rounding edge top 5. It's probably going to be a little bit less than that, but hey, the key message rather at the end of the day is that first through third are walking away with probably at least triple, if not quadruple, their money. And 4th and 5th, probably going to be going away with at least double. So good night for all those guys. Don't think they have anything to really complain about, that's for sure. Depending on who wins it, of course. Daniel Eberhardt's got a ton of momentum. He would be a very happy man to bring into the broadcast booth later tonight if he can get the job done. We've been keeping tabs on him, but he's still kind of staying silent. If him and Jason Maines can get locked up, we know there'll be a couple trucks that can make progress in a hurry, but right now he finds himself last truck inside the top 10, currently up 6 from where he started, and he is just behind Christopher McCall. Well, actually, he's going to be lined up just behind Dylan Jones or Jason Maines, but he's going to have his teammate Christopher McCall to his outside, and we'll see if there's anything he can kind of do to get those two lined up quicker. 9 laps to go under caution here at Talladega. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back to catch the green. Stick with us. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway, and it looks like we are going to get the one-to-go signal, so we're going to be going back green this time here, trying to cap off some Friday night money racing. A lot of big money here on the line. Haven't actually seen a race with payouts this, well, what was supposed to be this big here in a little bit. Of course, high entry fee, that's what you're going to get, and to see the turnout means a lot of these guys certainly appreciate what Jeff Ford's been putting on. Again, if you're interested in getting yourself in some money racing for FEG, all you got to do is check out their Discord, and it's not something that you have to do. It's just optional. Whenever you want to do some money racing, you pay the entry fee, you get yourself in here and give yourself a shot at winning some big money. and that link is in the description below. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. If you stuck around since the beginning, I appreciate you just a little bit more, but I always like when you guys stop by and say hi, check out how you're doing. John Mullahan, I meant to say, saw you in the chat. I believe you out on vacation. Hope you're having a good time. And Troy Elliott, I believe that's indeed Richard Elliott. Good to see you in here. Not going to be able to see you on Monday this week. Hopefully we'll see you back sometime next week or the week after. And Alejandro, man, that was a tough break. Hate to see it. Heath Job, if you missed it earlier with the super chat donation, $5. Certainly made my night here, that's for sure. The nice encoded message. You're a value member of iRacing community. Keep it up, Austin. And a lot of people don't know how much that means. Scrapping anything together, when you put something that you worked for, in this case money, you give it away to someone, it always means a ton. And Heath Job, again, if you're watching, we certainly appreciate it. So look at his top 5. Ken McCall Jr. leads the way. Brian Kaiser 2nd. John Ward 3rd. Chad Ross and 4th. And Josh Bonwell rounding out your top 5. Row 1's a little interesting. Brian Kaiser, you know, he's got to have some fire in him right here because he is on the front row. 27. We'll see what he can do here from the inside. Ken McCall Jr. does have a teammate behind him in John Ward. I don't look to see those two separate at all, so we'll see who wants to take the 3rd lane first. Important to note that the 3-wide rule is off at this point, so it is all go from here. Let's take a ride on board with the blimp cam here for this restart. Could be the final one. Here we go. Field has condensed just a little bit as we now have 4 trucks out of the race, 21st through 24th. Jeremy Paris in the pits. Green flag back in the air. 7 laps to go at Talladega. Looks like the outside line got a better jump, but I think that was by design. Ken McCall Jr. would certainly like to bring Chris with him. Not sure if he's going to be able to do it just yet, but right now he continues to try. It did not take long to get the 3rd lane going. And guess who it is? It's the duo that we talked about of Jason Maines and Daniel Eberhardt. 2 of the most professional guys you'll find in here, and they're making their way to the front here in a hurry. Jason Maines has got big momentum. The backstretch is a good place to do it, but they got locked up before they even made the move, so the momentum is absolutely absurd right now, but they can't quite get clear of Ken McCall Jr. That's going to stall us out, and we are already starting to form that 3-wide gridlock that we see at the end of these races. Oh, man, a little contact. Got to be real careful here out of turn 4. Chad Ross, John Ward made some door-to-door bump, and somehow, some way, they all keep it together. Brian Kaiser still hanging tight, tough on the bottom. He does have his Team 3 teammate. We talked about how they couldn't really get together all night, and yet somehow, some way, they do find a way here late in the going. Watch for a move here. That bottom line is fading. John Ward would have a chance. He's going to stick with his teammate, but watch for both of those trucks to dart to the bottom. They're not going to. Waits a little too long as Ken McCall Jr. is going to stick with Jason Maines and Josh Bonwell working with McCall Motorsports. He is going to take that line away. The 3x3 actually continues down the backstretch, but you can see still plenty of opportunities for guys here. No lane has really became dominant just yet. Brian Kaiser going to have to push Josh Bonwell, and there's the move. This is a move we are seeing more and more now, and they execute it perfectly. McCall Motorsports, oh, just as I was going to say, they got both trucks in front of Jason Maines to hop back up. Daniel Eberhardt's going to try to block that line. Ken McCall Jr., though, gets right up in front. Him and Daniel Eberhardt have been working good together in the last couple races. Eberhardt's pushed Ken to a couple wins. We'll see if he can maybe do it again here tonight. On the bottom, John Ward leads the way. Ken McCall Jr. in the middle, and how about it? Dylan Jones. Not surprised to see him up front late in the going. He's up top. Now Ken drops back down to the bottom. He's going to give Daniel a breath of fresh air. Still hanging 3x3 here down the backstretch. Miller Light truck in the back. Looked like almost darted off, but keeps it together. Joshua McCall 3rd in the middle line. What can he do? How about the 85 of Devin Rea trying to push Dylan Jones and Crystal McCall out front? And a little separation here once you get 3 rows back. But these guys are really getting a lot tighter to each other. Got to be careful that nobody makes any mistakes. And there's the mistake. Wrecking out back. It's going to bring the caution out to send us to overtime. Pretty big shot on the inside wall for Ron Morris Jr. Now Mark Vondell slides in as well. Chad Ross. Looks like he might have went for a little loop-de-loop. Go back and take a look at it. 4th caution of the night coming out of turn 4. This was in the second half of the pack, but these guys were going at it here, and it looks like Mark Vondell and Dustin Carruthers make some contact. At least that's what it looks like from this view. Chad Ross spins up into the outside wall, and there's Ron Morris Jr. Looks like him and Joey Allen trying to both miss it. That sends Ron Morris Jr. down to the inside wall, and then Mark Vondell, of course, makes some contact as well. And let's see if we can't... I want to see a little bit of a better view. I guess let's take a look from the chopper cam to start. And watch this. Does it look like the 10 goes down? Oh, man, that's close. And, you know, we've seen this a couple times tonight with a lot of guys as Just two guys maybe moving up and down at the exact same time. Not by much, but when they both do that move. Yeah, it looks like Mark Vondel coming up just slightly. Again, nothing too bad, but yeah, you can see where his tires are here. They're on the white line. Dustin Carruthers' tires just below that top white line, but you know, actually, maybe not. That's so hard to call because from that view, it almost looks like the 10 of Dustin Carruthers maybe kind of comes down. Mark Vondel, let's take another shot of it. And, you know, I got to be honest. Actually, I take that back. That looks more like the 10 of Dustin Carruthers coming down on Mark Vondel. And then there might have been a slight bit of netcode before they actually made any contact. And that is where all this kind of got started and got going. And it's on from there. My goodness. Let's take a couple more views of it real quick. I think we're out on board here with Chad Ross do this before we go back up live. Just nothing he can do. A little tank slapper for him in the driver's side door on the outside wall. But after that, keeps it together. No harm, no foul. He sits on pit road now. Your top 5, Ken McCall Jr. and 1st, John Ward 2nd, Daniel Eberhardt 3rd, Jason Maines 4th, and Josh Bonwell 5th. Heading back to the chat because we got a lot more excitement. I'm sitting here trying to do the broadcast, and you guys got me about jumping out of my seat because John Mullihan with the $9.99 donation and super chat. Mullihan said just before that, yes, sir, I'll be back on Sunday out on vacation. McCall Motorsports, of course, missing their teammate. One of the fastest guys out here, has a win in just about every series, and I believe he might be sitting in the top 10 right now in the race for the FEG-PC, which we need to bring up in just a moment. John, thank you so much for the 99. Appreciate it. And then Troy Elliott, who we believe is Richard Elliott from the Fast Track Sim Racing Cup Series, saw him in the PGR race last night with a $9.99 donation as well in Super Chat. You guys are going off tonight. Holy moly. Thank you so much, Richard. Says, yeah, my alias is Richard Elliott. My alias is Richard Elliott. Yep, sure enough. So that's going to be Richard Elliott. How about it? 2 $9.99 donations back to back. John Mullihan, Richard Elliott getting done. Thank you guys a ton. And that would already put us up to probably just about 25. Might as well round it up. Dollars tonight. Man. Heck of a race. Definitely a good recovery from what we've seen so far. What we saw last night, if you will. The broadcast continuing from where it left off. You guys certainly making me feel a little bit better up here in the booth here tonight. Daniel Eberhardt in the 90 truck. You know, he's looking for a win. We'll see what he can do here. And with that overtime being in play, per the usual rules, going to have green, white checkered here. So we're going to take the green. If we can go a lap without getting a caution and take the white flag, this race will be official. However, if we get a caution that first lap, then we will back them up and try it again. Now let's bring it back to something that we haven't talked about in quite some time, but it certainly is still a big thing that all these guys have been keeping their eye on, and that is the race for the PC. Top racers, whatever you want to call it, for FEG-PC. And, you know, it's pretty simple in how it works, right? So the top 10 most earning drivers at the end of 2023 are going to have a chance to battle it out for a custom-made FEG-PC by Mr. Jeffrey Ford himself. Certainly a cool thing. Haven't heard anybody doing anything similar to that so far, and that's exciting, especially if you're one of the guys that, you know, just likes doing these on a regular. You look at Ken McCall Jr., well, basically all of McCall Motorsports. Maybe even some of the other guys, of course, you know, looking back, Chad Ross, we know he's one of the regulars. William H. Scott, all these guys, and they have a chance at going for just a little bit extra, maybe an extra return on your money. And quite a few guys in here I've heard throughout the year already saying they could certainly use a new PC, and this is a good way for them to try to get it. So let's see what happens. It looks like we've got a truck going to get their lap back here. Is this going to be Art Greco? Sure enough, it is. Puts him back on the lead lap. Jeremy Paris 6 laps down. He still runs with the pack, though. And Donald Ray, not sure, I think he is off track. Yep, sure enough, Donald Ray, Chris Blanchard, Alejandro Montes de Oca, and Bobby Forbes all off track. Some incidents here tonight. Damage, but to still have what's going to be 19 trucks running on the lead lap with a 24 start, there's about to be some big payouts on the line. Again, positional payout rule also in effect here. So if a driver intentionally or even if deemed causes a wreck on the last 2 laps and that finishes in the money, they have to split their winnings with the driver that they wreck. So let's say somebody turns a driver in front of them here and then finishes in the money. That driver's going to have to split 50-50 with the driver that they turn. You certainly don't want to have to do that. You want to keep those big payouts for yourself. So we'll see if we can keep this thing clean and green for 2 more laps to decide a winner here tonight in the Talladega 45. Pace car is going to pull off. Ken McCall Jr. chose the bottom line this time. That puts his teammate John Ward up top with Jason Maines pushing the outside, Daniel Eberhardt pushing the inside. And I think Ken picked a good choice and a heck of a pusher. And Daniel Eberhardt, look to see if those two can finish 1-2 here tonight. Jason Maines, how long does he wait for John Ward? Joshua McCall, you know, he's going to stick with his teammate. Brian Kaiser, Devin Ray, I think those are the wild card dark horses right now. We'll see what they can do. Here we go, 2 laps to go at Talladega. Who is going to win it? Good even restart here from the first 2-3 rows deep. Watch for that third lane. It's already getting formed up. William H. Scott's trying to jump to the outside. Devin Reyes trying to sneak clear so he can get up there as well. They're going to have to get a big draft and try to get back up here before they have enough momentum to make a move. Now we see Danny Epselman. He's going to shift up to the top line as well. William H. Scott trying to make something work back there. The 7th's going to jump out as well. These guys still don't really have enough momentum. They got to tuck back the line. Mitchell Daves falling back, dragging that line pretty far back, in fact. As John Ward gets clear, now we're going to see Danny Eshman and Devin Ray. They're going to try and move nothing there, but they're going to get linked up with Brian Kaiser. They're coming to the tribal. That's where the move's going to be made. Does Jason Maines think about making a move now is the question. He looked for it, but he saw that Joshua McCall wasn't going to go with him. Here we go, working our way into the tribal. Looking, the white flag is in the air. We're going to get to see it. This thing's going to be official. One more lap around Talladega. Who is going to win it? John Ward to the outside. Jason Maines is stacking up. They're going to have the momentum on the backstretch here. The question is, can that 92 get clear? And if he does, I don't know if he drops low. He's trying to stick so his teammates can get a 1-2, potentially 3 finish here. And if you're Jason Maines, you have got to feel like a sitting duck right now. He is in a sea of McCall Motorsports driver as Ken McCall Jr. jumps to the top. Power move, and he's going to get the push now from John Ward as they race down the backstretch. Little contact further back. Brian Kaiser, Devin Ray trying to sort it out. And this, what is probably about a 7-truck pack, is going to have a race to the finish. Jason Maines with no help behind. Does he look for a move as Joshua McCall moves to the bottom? And if you're Josh Bonwell, can you get clear of Ken McCall Jr.? Think about ducking out. Final pushes. Here we come through the tribal for the final time. It is going to be a side-by-side finish. If Ken McCall Jr. can get one more push, he does. But it's not going to be enough. Daniel Eberhardt goes back-to-back. He wins tonight at Talladega. This guy is on fire. Got a lot of money last night in the PGR Intimidator Superspeedway Series. And guess what? He gets a lot of money here tonight. And, you know, he's pushed Ken McCall Jr. to a couple wins, and that might have been a little bit of a teammate help out. Don't get me wrong. Ken McCall Jr. was 100% still going for the win, but he chose to go to the outside. And let me tell you something. He knows that Daniel Eberhardt is plenty good enough of a pusher to have pushed him to a win, but I think he wanted to give Daniel Eberhardt a chance to, of course, have a good shot at the win for helping him out as much as he has. And Daniel Eberhardt took full advantage of it. Gets the job done here tonight. Now, I do believe top 3, as we talked about earlier, pay all the same. So Ken McCall Jr. and Josh Bonwell should all be going home with the most money here tonight. And then John Ward and Christopher McCall are going to be going home with just under half. Should be just under half of whatever these guys win. Brings it around, and he's getting ready to burn it on down. And as he does so, we're going to check out a couple things. That finish ended up getting a lot closer than it looked like it was going to be. In fact, the margin of victory only 2/100ths of a second. So you might as well call it a photo finish because that's pretty much what it was. But Daniel Eberhardt, man, I wonder how he did in his last race tonight. And if he somehow found the win earlier, that would have made him 3 in a row. First of all, let's go back and break down the finish. In fact, this was a very, very clean green-white checkered. Hats off to all these guys for doing a heck of a job keeping things clean and green at the end here. Coming into the tribal here, I thought for sure Ken McCall Jr. had this thing all but wrapped up. But you're about to find out. Maybe not so much. This is coming down to the start-finish line. In fact, we'll go to the restart cam here in just a moment. And here we go. As they race side by side, I think... You know what? I'll tell you what. If John Ward, it's not a bad move here. I'm not hating him. We're going to do this manual way just to show you just how close it was. If John Ward doesn't make that move, I think it's really, really close. Not a bad move, though, and you can't blame John Ward. He's got to go for it himself, too. There's the finish. Man, what a night for McCall Motorsports, though. In fact, they all but sweep the top 5. In fact, they do sweep the top 5. I take that back because Daniel Eberhardt and Josh Bonwell technically alliance with. You might as well call them teammates for McCall Motorsports here tonight. We saw Daniel Eberhardt burning it down. Now how about we go get your top 3 for interviews? Stick with us for just a moment. And we're going to start with third place finisher Josh Bonwell. Josh, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, kind of making a return here tonight. Kind of a little bit of an alliance thing going with McCall Motorsports, and at the end, it was about to see a McCall Motorsports driver. You finished third. Did you feel kind of locked in at the end there, or were you in the position you felt like you wanted to be in?
Well, I'd rather finish first than third, but I had Daniel there in front of me, and I can't remember who jumped up into the second lane there. And I said, I'm just going to lock onto his rear bumper and hope I don't turn him, and we'll see what happens. And he ended up getting the win, but it was a good race there, good finish.
Absolutely, especially on the good race part. Very clean there at the end. Now, throughout the race, you definitely had led the most laps. We saw you up there leading quite a few, especially early on. Was that the game plan coming into the race, or did it kind of just work out that way?
Yeah, I always try to stay up front as much as I can. I figure the less drivers that are in front of me, the less I have to drive through when something goes wrong.
All right, well, congratulations on the podium finish. Before we let you go, though, tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Oh, thank you for putting on a good show, and Jeff for hosting the events. He always puts on good events, and McCall Motorsports for letting me tag along with them, and all the fans for tuning in tonight.
All right, sounds good. Hey, hopefully we'll see you next week, but congrats, or tomorrow night, excuse me, but congrats on third place finish one more time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And now we're going to pull in second place finisher Ken McCall Jr. Ken, this is all stuff in the booth, and before you say it, I think we're in for a hell yeah. You got a copy?
Hell yeah, let's go.
Sure enough. Hey, second place finish. Good run tonight. At the end there, a little bit of a surprising move there, seeing you jump to the top, but we know that Daniel Eberhard has been a great pusher for you the last couple races. Was that kind of an opening the door for a chance for the 90 to maybe have a shot at the win while still giving yourself just as competitive of a chance at it?
I know Daniel was going to get hot right there, and I wanted to make sure Ward didn't drop backwards, and but I didn't want to pull up in front of Ward too early and everybody be hot at the front, and then maybe a third lane get a huge run on us. Just trying to time it just right, and it worked out.
It certainly did work out. Now, the other thing that seems to have worked out is, maybe not all specific teammates, but alliances, of course, with Daniel Eberhard and Josh Bonwell tonight. McCall Motorsports, just go ahead and call it a top 5 sweep. What do you think about that?
Hell yeah, you can't get no better than that. And I won the side pot. Let's go.
Good night for sure. I'm sure we'll be seeing you back out here tomorrow night. Before we let you go, though, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank you, man. You do an awesome job on these broadcasts. You, Baker, man, y'all are something else. Got to thank Jeff for putting these things on. Got to thank them awesome teammates I got. Man, can't ask for a better group of guys.
Can't ask for a better race or, well, I guess technically a better finish, but congrats on the second one here tonight.
Yep, thank you, sir.
And now we're going to bring in the winner. Back-to-back, 2 nights in a row. Daniel Eberhard. Daniel, you got a copy?
Yeah, man.
Well, big money again here. Strikes for you tonight. And, we used to see you would be aggressive the whole race. Now, I know you still can be if you want, but tonight played it a little bit more patient until we got to the second half. You worked your way to the front. Never looked back. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was going to be a lot of wrecks. I mean, that was a pretty clean race, all in all, and we kind of got done pretty quickly. I think an hour and a half, so that's not bad. But yeah, you gotta take it easy because there's a lot of new people, and I didn't know who to run around, and I don't want to be super aggressive. And once we got to the front, I pushed Jason and had help from Dylan, and then Christopher behind him pushed us to the front, and I dropped down with Jason. You kind of make what you got there, and then the caution came out, and then we were going to race it out, and luckily it fell where we needed it to, and we brought home this win.
Absolutely, a great win for sure. The other thing I want to ask you about is, we just talked to Ken McCall Jr. He said he didn't want you to overheat. And when you saw him jump high on the bottom, at that point, were you kind of expecting to just push him the rest of the way? Did it catch you off guard?
He did the greatest thing ever. It was the smartest move because Ward's his teammate, and he pushed him. I mean, I knew Ward was going to jump in behind him, and when he pushed him, it was going to get Ken a shot, but it gave me a cool engine just in case Ken needed to jump in front of me again. So I think the top 3 paid the same in this race, so it kind of worked out because it didn't really hurt nobody making that move. So we all finished where we were supposed to finish, and it was a great race.
Couldn't agree more. Teamwork certainly made the dream work here tonight. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I want to thank you for broadcasting, Jeffrey Ford, putting these races on. I want to thank Ryko Motorsports for everything they do for me, and I want to thank the good Lord above. Without him, none of this would be possible. Thank my grandma and my wife who watched the race tonight, and I got my grandma to spend the night with us. So it's pretty good day, man. Pretty good.
Sounds like a good day. We'll see if we see you tomorrow night, maybe looking to go three for three. We'll see what happens. Thanks for talking to us, and congrats on the win here tonight.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. Well, you know what I heard? Kind of the moral message, or the general message, whatever you want to call it, was clean race, and I could not agree more. That was a very fun race to watch. Very clean racing. And on that note, let's go ahead and take a look at your finishing results. Of course, Daniel Eberhardt got the win here tonight. Ken McCall Jr. second, Josh Bonwell third, John Ward finishes fourth, Christopher McCall in fifth, Jason Main sixth, Joshua McCall seventh, Devin Rea in eighth, Dylan Jones in ninth, Brian Kaiser 10th, Danny Eshelman 11th. It is going to go back to 12th, where we'll find Mitchell Daves, Joey Allen 13th, William Scott in 14th, Chad Ross 15th, Mark Vondell 16th, Dustin Carruthers 17th, Art Greco 18th, Ron Morse Jr. 19th, and Jeremy Paris rounding out your top 20. Drivers that had to retire from the race early include Donald Ray 21st, Chris Blanchard 22nd, Alejandro Montes Diaco with technical issues in 23rd, and Bobby Forbes. Rough night for him as he rounds out your top 24 field. Well, not top 24, I guess your 24 truck field, if you will, here tonight. All right, on that note, just about ready to head out here. Don't forget, tomorrow night, we get right back to it. More FEG Money Racing, same time, same place. We hope to see y'all there. I hope everybody did enjoy it. Thank you for joining me one more time. Going over the Super Chats, Heath Job, thank you so much for the $5 donation. John Mullahan with the big $9.99. Thank you so much, John Mullahan, for the $9.99 donation. And Troy Elliott, a.k.a. Richard Elliott, thank you so much for the $9.99 donation as well. And just a quick reminder, you guys can add messages whenever you send those. Either way, cool deal. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. It was a fun one. We'll see you.